The plan for today is to talk a little bit about logistics since it is, I think, relevant and it shouldn't take that long. Then we're going to finish up with the last chapter, and then I will have some time to talk about or just rant about, random things about how to study math and also try to motivate the question that I left for today's quiz. This week's quiz is it's an open-ended question. You have to write a short paragraph explaining what you think you found most beneficial from this course, and I would really appreciate some thoughtful replies. Don't just write, oh, I really liked induction is useful, whatever. Uh, do put a little bit more effort into it. I would appreciate it. Short answers are perfectly fine. I'm not asking you to write an essay or anything. And I also decided to make those two extra points bonus points, meaning they will get added to your final grade, even if you already have the 10 points for the quizzes, and you also have a little bit extra time to finish that. Later this week, I will post all the grades, hopefully including problem set 6, so that you know what to expect and you know how many points you have in total, including the communication bonus and all of that. Just so that there are no surprises. But I think all of you should have, except for problem sets 5 and 6, all of you should know more or less what your final grades are. Okay. Another thing I want to say about the finals, so let me write this down, exam logistics. So just as a reminder, oh, it's terrible. As a reminder, it's this Friday, right? 16th. It's at 7 p.m. sharp, meaning the exam starts at 7, so please try to arrive at least 10 minutes earlier. If you arrive late, you will be allowed to do the exam, but you will not be given extra time, right? This is the location. And you need to bring your T card with you or some valid photo ID. There's a new rule that I didn't make, but you won't be allowed to enter the room if you don't have valid ID. And like I said, this is independent of me, so I won't be able to help you in case you don't bring your ID. You have 3 hours to complete the exam, so it's from 7 to 10. There are only 6 questions, as I mentioned in the guide. All chapters that we covered in this course get mentioned, but not all individual topics, right? And most questions involve more than one topic, so you cannot skip a whole chapter. That will probably affect more than just one question. If you don't know anything about induction, then it will not just be the question about induction, in case there is one, that will be affected, but other questions might also use induction or similar ideas, right? So do try to know at least the basics of every chapter. And if you haven't started studying yet, that's perfectly fine. You still have time. My suggestion would be, instead of reviewing and rewatching all of the videos, try to solve the problems, the exercise and the problem set that are mentioned in the study guide, including those in the additional problems. That's the first thing I would try, and I think that's the best investment of your time that you can make. If you get stuck, of course, by all means, review the notes, review the videos, but I would try to solve the exercises first. It's always best to practice that which you will be asked to do in the moment anyway, right? This is something that is true in general about making tests. Don't get discouraged if you ever have a bad grade in a test. Writing tests successfully is a skill in of itself, and the way to become better at it is not just to understand the subject, but to practice writing tests or practice yourself being in similar situations, especially if you feel emotionally affected by tests, as it happens to a lot of people. For a time, I include myself in that group of people where my performance would drop sharply simply because I was nervous. And that is something that is also fixed by practice, and you have to practice the setting of writing tests. So not because you assume that you can solve all the questions and memorize all the notes, should you assume that the tests would be easy. And I'm not saying the test is hard. I'm just saying that there are other challenges other than just sitting down and writing the test. Um, Okay, I didn't mean to sound scary. So the test isn't long, like I said, it's 6 questions, and you have 3 hours, which is plenty of time. Most questions are, I would say, the average level of difficulty of the problem sets. Only the parts that you did turn in. If there are questions similar to the additional questions in the final, then the difficulty will not be that of the additional questions, but of the questions that you were asked to do in lectures. Most questions are not too long to write down. Some of them have some extra steps. And if there is a more difficult question, I did include an outline for it. But do practice. Do try to solve the exercises, especially the ones you got wrong. That's the first thing I would try to verify. What does the feedback tell you? And I think that's it. I think that's everything you need to know. Oh, there are no aids allowed. I think that's more or less clear. So no calculators, no nothing. What else? Oh, and as a brief reminder, we are writing the test in the same place at the same time as the other section. And the final is identical except for the last chapter, since that one was elected democratically. So please make sure that you're answering the question from my section and not the other person, not the other professor's section. Um, it's likely that you won't be able to solve the other person's question, but it will be clearly indicated which is which. Anyway, I think I'm mostly just repeating things that are already detailed in the study guide. So what we could do now is, why don't we finish the last chapter that we were talking about? So let me